Hello, hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you for joining me tonight at a place for healthy conversations. I am Kim, also known as Ms. Empower. I am super, super excited as always to join you guys every Tuesday at 8 p.m. I was not on last week due to being under the weather. But I am here tonight, and we've been discussing um, the cheat code. That's a podcast, um, and I'm going to tell you about it in just a second. I'm sorry, my phone is really not wanting to cooperate with me. So, um, it's a podcast, and it's talking about two people who were unhappily married to other people, and they had an affair. So they talk about it over 10 episodes. Why did I choose to review this podcast? Because it gives us a model, something to look at when we talk about cheating and the different things that it causes in a family, how it destroys a family. Just different mindsets of people, what they are thinking before they start cheating, what happens in the process, and just how it can end up. Sometimes the two people that have the affair, they wind up together. Sometimes they don't, and we're going to talk about that tonight. We talked about the first and the second chapter, not last Tuesday but the Tuesday before, and tonight we're going to talk about the third and the fourth episode, as long as we can get through the third one in time. So before I jump into the episode, or sorry, before I jump into the episode three, I just want to just talk about real quickly, why do people cheat? So first of all, sometimes it can be they lost their passion for the relationship, the passion they started out with. When you first get married, you're so excited um, about being with one another, and you just can't imagine being without this person. You look so forward to everything that you're going to do together, what life is going to look like for you. You have all these plans, all these thoughts in your head, but sometimes people lose that. Neglect and lack of communication. Sometimes we neglect our relationships, and we stop doing the things that we were doing to have a happy, healthy relationship. And sometimes we don't think about the things we should do to be healthy in a relationship. Sometimes we're just surviving in that relationship, and we don't take the time to stop and think about things that we can do. Um, Sometimes people are after revenge. So maybe one partner cheated, and then the other partner found out. Now the other partner is stepping out and cheating to hurt the other person. Hey, Gail, thanks for joining me tonight. Um, and sometimes that happens. So there's revenge. And you can join in, you can make comments on what you think some of the reasons are why people cheat. So sometimes people are wanting to be adventurous. It may not be anything wrong at home, but they want to step out and try something different. Sometimes it's just the fact that they know they're doing something that they have to sneak and do. So that's adventurous for them. Um, Sometimes people have narcissistic tendencies um, that allow them to justify why they are stepping out and cheating. And I'm going to say this, it's not just looking at a man stepping out and cheating on a woman. We are looking at both sides. We're looking at how the woman steps out, we're looking at how the man steps out, because we have two people in this podcast who are both married, one man, one woman, and they're both married and they're both unhappy in their marriage. So we're going to talk about that. Um, I had a few more. Sometimes people are testing their boundaries. They are trying to see if it's something they can get away with. Sometimes it's learned behavior because this is what they saw in their childhood growing up. This is what their parents were doing. Their uncles, their aunts, cousins, just whoever, they saw this in their surroundings. So they really felt like, this is what I've seen. It must be okay. Thanks for joining me, Van. Um, Thanks for joining, Shanika. Okay, guys. So other reasons, like we talked about, lack of communication. A lot of times, let's just be honest. A lot of us didn't grow up being taught how to communicate with other people. And then the way of communication sometimes was lashing out at someone, yelling at them, cussing at them, laying hands on them, those type of things. We weren't taught to communicate effectively. Um, Dissatisfaction in the marriage for whatever the reasons are. Financial pressures. A lot of time, finances plays a really big part in why people get so frustrated in the marriage that they step out. Low compatibility. I always tell people it's so important to know whether you are compatible with someone while you're dating them before you even get to the point of the proposal or accepting the proposal. Emotional, physical disconnect. We both know being emotional and being physical can be like the same sometimes, on the same level sometimes, and we're going to talk about that tonight, because these two couples, they connected on an emotional level. Lack of respect. Sometimes people just do it just to be disrespectful. I can do this because I'm this person. um Sometimes people do it running away from problems, you know. And we have generational cycles, like I just talked about, learned behavior. So those are some of the reasons, just some of the reasons why there is cheating in a marriage or a relationship. And tonight we're talking about the third and the fourth chapter. I'm sorry, the third and fourth episode of the podcast. And the podcast is called Cheat Code. If you want to go and find it, so that you can catch up with us for the next Tuesday discussion, it is on an app called A Cast. And so that's the letter A, CAST. You can download that app and then type in the cheat code. It's a really good story. You learn so much. It's so much that you can get from that and talk about. That's why I chose it. Okay, so for those of you that have not followed us, or didn't start out with us when we started the first and the second episode, I'm just going to kind of give you just a little quick information, real quick, before we jump into the third and the fourth episode. So, Andrea and Jason are the two people who are discussing their affair on this podcast. So, Andrea's married. She has a husband. She has one child, and they are doing pretty good financially. They live in a really nice house. Um, and they're making it. They travel, they do the things that most couples do. And she's unhappy. So after having their child, she starts to feel differently about herself. Um, she feels like she's gained weight, so she doesn't feel as beautiful as she did before. We as women go through that after we have babies. We go through postpartum depression, all types of things. So she's going through something, but she really can't put her finger on it. She does not know why she's so unhappy. And in her mind, she feels like, I'm unhappy, but divorce is not a option. I'm unhappy, but divorce is not something I'm going to do. But cheating is something I'll consider. Okay, so let's talk about Jason. Jason is married, and his wife at the time of meeting or connecting with Andrea is pregnant with twins, with twin girls. And after connecting with her, I want to say maybe a couple of months later, she has the twins. So he is a lawyer. He makes great money. They live in a really big, beautiful home in a really nice area. They both have really nice cars. They have money. Okay. But they're unhappy. But how many of us have been in a relationship where finances was not the issue, but you were still unhappy? It doesn't matter what material things you have. You can still be unhappy because you're not focusing on the things that you should focus on in the marriage. You're focused, if you're focused on the material things, then you're not focused on the important things in a marriage. So that's what's going on with them. So Jason also thinks like Andrea. He feels like he can't divorce his wife. First of all, she's pregnant with twins. So he really has no grounds to divorce her. So he has to stay in this marriage. But I'm going to cheat on her. I'm going to step outside this marriage because I need my 20%. And we all know the 80-20 rule. So 80% is normally the companion, the spouse. The 20% is the side person, whether it's the male or the female. And that's what that is. So the 20, that person goes to the 20%, the side person, for the 20% that they feel in their heart that they're not getting from their spouse. So that is what happened. And I'm going to apologize right now for my voice, guys. It sounds so much better than it did for the last week. Let me say that. But I apologize. But anyhow, let me continue on. So that's what we're talking about. These are the two people in the podcast. So we're gonna scoot on and talk about episode 3 and 4. Anybody that did not hear 1 and 2, you can always go back and check out that video. It is actually on my channel at Ms. Empower. Okay, guys, so let's move on. So with chapter 3, just might have to recap just a little bit on chapter 2. So Andrea's husband now knows that she is seeing Jason, right? Because when we ended last week on chapter 2, keep saying chapters, on episode 2, he had just found out that there was someone that she was seeing. So we'll recap just a little bit and we're going to jump in. So Andrea and her husband, they had a really good night together. On that particular night, it was Jason's birthday. So Jason was out with his wife. His wife threw him a party. So she was home. Andrea was home with her husband. And they had a really good night together, just, what married people do. And got up the next day and she went to get her hair done, but she left her phone at home. And he went in her phone and he saw this message. And before I jump into that, let me give you a little backstory. So Andrea and Jason had decided to get off social media because they were DMing each other. That's direct messaging. So they were sending messages to each other. So they decided to delete all of these messages and stop talking on social media. Now they'll just talk on the phone at work. So that is what happened. So Jason wound up getting sick. And when he got sick, she sent him a message. And it said basically just how much she cared about him and how much she could not picture herself without him. And she made a statement. 1 second, guys. She said, I love you in an impossible way, right? So Jason saw it and he came back and he said some things to her that he had never said before. It was all type of mushy stuff. So that is what her husband saw. He saw that exchange. And so when she came back from the hairdresser, he came in the kitchen. He said, I need to talk to you. And she's like, oh, okay. And he has this laptop in his hand and he says, who is Jason? And she says, a friend. So he's knowing that's not true. So Shanika says there is trust issues if he went in her phone. Absolutely. But that's a reason for that, which we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that for sure. So, um, so he's upset with her because he shows her the laptop where the message was that he read or whatever. Because now he didn't pulled it up on his laptop. So, um, there's nothing she can say. So what she does is she alerts Jason that he knows. And Jason says, "Well, okay, if he comes to talk to me, I just have to have a conversation with him and whatever else that he wants. I knew better. I'm messing with his wife. Whatever it is he needs from me, I'm gonna have to give it to him." So, I'm thinking most people would have ran off, but Jason, like, no, I'm gonna stay right here, and I'm gonna just have to have that conversation. So, I think I'm gonna read a little bit, guys, because normally, okay. So her husband says to her that he wants a divorce. And she's trying to understand, why does he want a divorce? Because, I'm not doing anything. Like, yeah, I am out here with him, going out with him, but I've not slept with him. But when he read that message, how many of you all think that her husband assumed that they were sleeping together because of how they were talking to each other? They had an emotional connection. And you can be so connected when you have an emotional connection, just like you are when you have a physical connection with somebody, because your souls are tied when you sleep with someone. So Shanika says Jason married too, though, right? Yes, Jason. So Andrea and Jason are both married. And so right now we're talking about Andrea and Andrea's husband finding out about Andrea and Jason. So he wants a divorce. So after that, he tells her that he has, and wait for it, been having an affair with a woman that he met on vacation a year ago. So he's been having an affair of his own a year ago. So this is why he wants a divorce, because now he wants to move on with his life. Right? He wants to move on because he's already established a whole life with somebody else for the last year that she didn't even know about. So this stuff she was feeling like he was doing something. She couldn't put her finger on it though, but she just knew her marriage didn't seem right. Things didn't feel right. She didn't know if it was just her because she didn't feel the best about herself after having a baby and gaining the extra weight and everything. So he's having an affair. And he tells her that, of course, is somebody that he met on vacation. So she's like, well, if he had an affair and I had an affair, although I didn't sleep with this person, why does he want to divorce me? This just does not add up to me. So Shanika says, how is Jason going to talk to another man about his wife when he needs to be worried about his? Jason said, I ain't no punk. I ain't going to run off. I'm going to handle this like a man. So, and I'm agreeing with you. He should have been more focused on his, but I guess he's saying, if he come to him, he got to do the responsible thing and have that conversation with him. So Andrea was really taken back by the fact that her husband wants a divorce, because she's thinking, okay, we both are having an affair. We don't have to leave each other. We can just have the affair and stay married, which it makes no sense to me. Like, I don't know why her thought process has to be that. Like, what was really shown to her as a young girl coming up, that it's better to cheat than to divorce? Like, if I feel like I want to step out on my mate and cheat, I don't want to be with him no more. So I think I'm gonna want to get out of the relationship. But in her mind, she's like, why do we have to divorce? Y'all should have divorced before stepping out on one another. And her husband told her that he knew that she was unhappy and he knew eventually she would start cheating on him. So he did it first. What kind of lame excuse is that? If you knew that your wife was unhappy, why didn't you confront her and have a conversation? See, that's what I'm talking about with the lack of communication. We have to have communication in a marriage for it to survive, because if you don't have it, it will not survive. If you have people in a marriage that don't take accountability for their actions, it will not last. It will go nowhere. It will be a waste of time of even saying I do, with even saying yes, I accept your proposal, if you know that you're not going to communicate. He said he knew she was unhappy. Why wouldn't you go to your wife and talk to her? Babe, what's wrong? I'm noticing you're different. I don't get it, y'all. We got to do better. We have to, and we have to teach our children, these new generations coming in, that what we are used to seeing, because the couples from way back in the day, regardless of what was going on, I believe this was their mindset, that they would stay in the marriage. They would not leave no matter what was going on. They would stay. There are so many married couples that are elderly that are still together. If you have a conversation with them, I bet you they will tell you exactly that they had so many issues in their marriage, that their spouse stepped out on them and probably had another child or more than one on them, but they stayed, or maybe they over the years, but in the beginning, it's a lot of stuff going on, that most people nowadays won't stay in a relationship when that is going on. Shanika said apparently her husband had more benefits than Jason. Wait, wait a minute, Shanika, what you mean? So, let me see. So, like I said, Andrea wasn't taught about divorce. She grew up in a two-parent home, and she was taught that either you just walk past each other, don't deal with each other in the household, or you step outside the relationship and find some happiness, but you don't divorce. Like, I'm just not in agreement with that. And I just wonder if that's how she still feels after all of this. I would actually like to know that. Um, I might have jumped ahead a little bit. So Andrea and Jason had never been sexually active. They kissed and they would talk on the phone. They would go on dates or whatever. But they weren't active in that way. But again, her husband felt like that is what was going on between them. Um, and he just felt like she was lying, just like she lied and said that Jason was just a friend. Um, but to me, it makes no difference whether it's an emotional relationship or a sexual relationship, because it's still cheating. You When it's an emotional relationship, you are so attached, you are so involved with this person, like you guys are really feeling each other, you are connecting on so many levels. Um, so Jason basically told her that he would be there for her. He considered her a friend. Um, but meanwhile, Andrea's husband still is talking about divorce and working towards that. And she just started feeling like it just started hitting her all at once. Like she didn't feel like she could do life without her husband. And it just started to get real for her and very overwhelming. But she loved being with Jason, but it wasn't an option. It wasn't an option to be with Jason because Jason's married. So she can't leave her husband and go to Jason because he's at home with a whole wife and twin daughters. Um, and also, she felt like she didn't know enough about Jason. Remember, Jason was her 20%. They never talked about finances. They never talked about what they wanted out of life, any of that. Um, so Shanika said, what was Jason's financial status? So Jason was a lawyer. Um, and he had not yet started his own firm yet, but he was that, that was something that he was working towards. So he had good money. Um, she wanted that security to fall back on. She would have had it with Jason or the husband. But I don't know what the husband did for a living because I don't think she said what he did, but it was obvious that they were doing okay financially. So Gail says her husband was relieved that he caught her first. Absolutely. Um, okay. So she just felt like, she didn't know enough about him. So, um, again, he was the 20%. And plus they haven't slept together yet. So she don't even know if he's compatible with her sexually. So that was the thoughts in her head. Like, no, I can't see myself doing this. Um, Andrea learned that her husband was having an affair and he was keeping something else from her. So it's more, guys, that she would stumble up on. So her husband one day, um, after harassing her about getting this divorce, right, and about her and harassing her about having this affair with Jason, he left one morning and went to the gym, which was his normal routine. On his way back home, he hit a pothole and he called her. So she said, well, because he was starting a new job that morning, she said, I'll take care of everything. Just come back to the house and I'll call a tow truck and get everything situated to have the car towed over to the shop. I'll go over there and wait. She's going to take care of everything, right? So he comes in the house and he's going to take his shower. And she says, okay, give me your laptop so I can um, go ahead and set up the reservation for your vehicle to get fixed or whatever. So while she's getting ready to do that, she opens up the laptop and there's a chat open. And it says, is she still claiming that she hasn't slept with him? So this is apparently the lady that her husband is having an affair with, that he's been having an affair with for the last year, that he said he met in February, right? So she starts going all the way back as far as she can in their chat to read the chat, and she realizes that she knows her, right? They know her. She comes to their house for events. She was in their wedding. So he lied. He lied and said he met this woman on vacation in Florida, but really is somebody that they both know and that is in both of their lives. Right. So I'm assuming she was more close to him than she was her. So now she has something up on him. She has she one-upped him. Okay. So he comes out the bathroom and she deals with him on that. And she still goes to the car shop and he goes to work and he calls her and she goes outside and she's just going off on him. And she talks about how she had 3 different phone conversations with him where she was yelling in this phone and these people are looking at her like she's crazy. Like, what is going on? We got to get this lady car taken care of and get her on up out of here. So let me see what you said real quick. Jason, a lawyer going around messing with men's wives. Yes. So, and it's not funny, but it's just crazy how different things happen. So we don't just have a man that was cheating and stepped out on his wife. We have a woman that has cheated and stepped out on her husband, and her husband stepped out on her. A lot, right? So now she has that. And she's thinking, well, since I have this up on him, I know he don't want a divorce now. We should be able to stay together. No, he still wants his divorce. So she's like, he wants this divorce. He's still saying I slept with him. Okay, I got one. It's a fight party coming up. So she books a room for a fight. For the fight in Vegas. She decides she's going to go to Vegas with her girls. Jason's going to go to Vegas with his boys. So before that happens, her and her husband decide they're going to go to counseling to figure out how to tell their 6-year-old daughter. So they wait a couple of months to tell the daughter because at the time she's 5, but she's going to be 6 in 2 months. So they tell her when she turns 6 that they are divorcing, splitting up. They're not going to be a family anymore. So they go to counseling, and he's just saying all these things to try to make her feel better about the process of them divorcing. So he's telling the counselor, oh, she's a wonderful mother. She's a wonderful woman. She's going to do fine. And he's not getting it. Like, he's all she knows. And she's trying to figure out how she's going to do this without him. She wants some comfort, and she really don't want it from him, but she only person she knows to comfort her is him because that's all she's been with. And so it's a lot for Andrea. She's having a hard time. She's very overwhelmed with everything that's going on. She can't believe after all of this, he's still going to divorce her. Any questions before I move on? Any comments on the cheating before I move on? So she started thinking and kind of realized why he wanted the divorce because um, although the lady was his 20%, she was giving him what she wasn't giving him for a whole year. So she felt like, okay, I get it. He wants to move on. I'm done trying to fight it. So she's still talking to Jason. Now, at one point, they stopped talking because she wanted to try to make it work with him. But then her husband said, no, I still want the divorce. So she's thinking about her marriage. She only saw herself being happy with him. And she can't picture herself being single. And Jason is kind of going through something because he feels like, okay, she's getting ready to be single now. So I might lose her because she's going to be single. Somebody else may get to her before I can because I have no grounds for divorcing my wife, even though you're unhappy in your marriage. Like, what do you need? Um, so anyhow, like I said, Andrea made the plans for Vegas, and we're getting ready to go into episode 4. So before we go into episode 4, did anybody have any questions on episode 3? So because Andrea's husband wants to proceed with the divorce, she decides to take a trip to Vegas. And like I said, she had her girl crew, Jason had his man crew. Well, majority of her people dropped out and so did his. So she had a few people that came, and she had one person that she was going to tell what she was doing. Like, she didn't feel like she could tell everybody. But before they left for the Vegas trip, the husband wanted to have a goodbye party. Tell me how crazy that sounds. He wants to basically have a goodbye party because they are breaking up, because they are divorcing. And at this party, he wanted to introduce his side piece. So you asked me if Jason's wife knows. Um, I don't know if she does. You know how women are. We have this intuition, like we can feel something is not right. It's a possibility she did know, but they never said whether she knew or not. But if you kind of read into it and know how we are as women, she might have known something. what's going on. She might not have caught him at the time, but she knew something wasn't right. So they go to Vegas, and Andrea is like, "Look, my ex-husband, well, my husband, he is accusing me of doing X, Y, and Z. I'm getting ready to do X, Y, and Z. Why not? I might as well, since I'm getting a divorce behind this, and I haven't done anything with this man yet." So of course Jason has in his mind that they are going to do it, but they haven't talked to each other about doing that. But these are the thoughts in their individual minds. So of course it happens while they're in Vegas, and they enjoy their trip in Vegas. The last day in Vegas, Andrea's husband calls and says to her, "What's going on with you? Like, I don't understand why you're not fighting for our marriage." Is that playing games? Is that gas? Is what we consider that gaslighting? Because you're gonna try to call and upset me when you already said more than one occasion that you don't want me, that you want a divorce. Like, what do you guys think? I feel like he was gaslighting her because he knew she was out of town. So he's gonna try to call and mess up her day. Um, that's an important part of the story. What is? So I need to know that so I can comment on that part. But yes, so he calls and just ruins her day. So they're leaving for the airport, and her whole vibe is off. It's just she didn't want to talk to nobody. She's now upset. She got a lot on her mind. She's overwhelmed now because now he's talking like he possibly might want to try to work it out, right? So he playing that little game with her. Um, so when she gets back, she's starting a new job, and she's just so overwhelmed because so many things in her life is changing. Oh, Jason's wife knowing. Okay, we're gonna get to that. Not this week. It's gonna be next week. We'll be talking about his wife, because she kind of enters the podcast. So she has all these things that are new that's starting for her, which is a new job, a divorce, a new home. Um, what else, guys? Just being single, just her whole thought process now is going to be new. This is all going to be new for her. So she's starting this job, and I think we're going to continue that part on next week. We'll start that at the beginning. Um, but I just kind of want to go back and just kind of talk about a few things that we see when there's cheating in a marriage, how it breaks up that family dynamic. Whatever it was that you had before, you no longer have that. Because now it's broken into pieces, and then you bring stress into the lives of your partners. You know, this situation is just a lot because she didn't know her husband was cheating, and then to know that he's been cheating for a whole year, and then to know now that he's been cheating for a whole year with somebody that they both know, who's coming to their house, whatever gatherings they had, came to their wedding. Like, that's crazy. That's a lot. How would you guys react to something like that? Like, okay, yeah, you've been cheating, but you find out your husband has been cheating for the whole year with somebody that y'all both know, and that's coming around both of y'all. Absolutely, Gail. He got his nerve. He really did. He tried it. He tried it, but um, it's just their thought process before they even stepped into this. When they were just talking to each other, liking each other on Facebook and all of that. Now, I know people say you shouldn't be on social media when you're married because it's so many opportunities to cheat. But let me tell you something. A person that's gonna cheat, they don't necessarily need social media because they gonna cheat anyway. If it wasn't a social media, they would be cheating. So you cannot blame social media for being the reason why people cheat or how people cheat. Like maybe some people might use social media to do it, but if there was no social media, they would still do it. That's what you have to look at. It's so if you get married and your spouse is on social media and you don't like it because you are worried about them being with someone else, then I think that's a problem for you. That's something that you need to work on within you because that's just saying you don't trust your mate off the bat because you're worried about them being with somebody else that they might meet on social media. Um, we got to start retraining our minds, um, our thought processes. You know, what are the way we are stepping into these important relationships. You know, what are you doing prior to accepting a proposal, prior to saying I do? What are you guys doing as a couple? Do you sit down and talk about the boundaries? Do you sit down and talk about what you think that you can't accept? Do you sit down and talk about the things that just bother you? You know, I think if there was more communication, um, we will see a lot of marriages and relationships, you know, really work out and be great. So just think about Andrea's husband saying he saw that she was unhappy and he felt like at some point she was going to cheat on him. You know, when he saw that, that should have been a conversation. They went to counseling before the divorce. So why couldn't you go to counseling to talk about this? You know, the lack of communication is what really messes up many relationships out here, whether it's a romantic relationship, a business relationship, a platonic relationship, whatever relationship it is, a bond or relationship with your children. You know, when you don't have that communication going, yes, that's what happens. Um, are there any comments? Hold on. I know Gail. Gail said she gonna catch a case. Shanika said I lived with my male classmate during my separation and I didn't cheat. So it's all about mindset. So, okay. So you were still married, but you lived with your you had a roommate basically. Cuz that's different. And that's the thing. But if in most men, they would be like, if it was a male, they'll be like, oh yeah, something going on. And I'm not gonna say all men, but most men, because their ego gets to playing, you know, with them, with their mind, and they just, you know, just go there. They can't handle it. Just like a lot of men, um, if they find out that their wife is cheating, they can't go back to her because of their ego. But a woman, it will be hard for her a lot of time a lot of times a woman will go back, she will accept them and the child that they had on her. So yeah, because that's a lot for them. Like I don't know, I probably have to do some research on they little ego. But yeah. um but this podcast really is a good model, I feel, because it just gives you the opportunity to see the mindset before the cheating started, and then the mindset as it started and as it continued on. You get to see all the mindsets of everybody involved, all the things that could possibly happen. um so we'll continue on, we'll finish up chapter 3. And wait a minute, I'm sorry, guys. We'll finish up episode 4 and we'll go into episode 5 on next Tuesday um, for the cheat code. And I want to invite you guys out tomorrow, Wednesday, Healthy Hump Day, at 8 p.m. for a quick live video. And this is going to be based on people who have received that good gravy, guys. My mind is just like, hold on, I'm sorry. That curveball, that's what I wanted to say. When life throws you that curveball and you get off track and you're not focused and you just can't see how you can get focused again, please come on with me. And, I'm going to talk to you about some things that you can do and just try to help you guys get back on track again. I'll be taking comments on that day as well. And you definitely can, put your comments out there, what you think people could do. But yeah, sometimes in life we receive that curveball and it comes out of nowhere and it just knocks you off your track, off your game, whatever it was you was doing, it just knocks you off. And you have a hard time getting back on and getting refocused. So please join me tomorrow for that here here on YouTube at a place for healthy conversations. So with that being said, guys, are there any other comments? Oh, hold on, I missed one. Okay, no, I did not got that one. Um, so with that being said, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night at 8 o'clock right here at a place for healthy conversations. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe and press that bell so that you'll get a notification every time that I upload a video. If you are someone who would like to write into Ms. Empower, you can send that email to Ms. and that's MZZ as in zebra, empower at gmail.com. And that letter can be in reference to a family dilemma, a relationship dilemma, um, and I'm going to start doing those letters. Actually, hopefully next week we'll have our first one. And so that will probably be on a Wednesday. All right, guys. So again, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for those of you who are able to log in with me. I enjoyed this conversation with you guys. Look forward to talking with you guys soon. Have a great one. Good night.